What is going on, everyone? Chris with Journals, Comics, and Pop Culture. We are back at it again with a four-part video series. This time we are counting down the top 25 key comics to invest in for under $25. In this first video, we're going to be counting down numbers 25 down through 16. As always, the way these work, the lower we get on the list, the hotter these books have been on the market over the last few years. Before we get into the books, I have to say a big, huge congratulations to Longshakes78 for winning this amazing Red Sonja #1 Journos exclusive EGS custom label. This was one of the giveaways for my 10K sub contest. Longshanks, hit me up, either private message me on Instagram or you can email me at captainjournocomics@gmail.com. But folks, we're not done giving books away. Today, we are going to give away another EGS slab. This time, it is a Warlock in the Infinity Watch #1 EGS 9.4 with that Journos custom exclusive label as well. All you need to do to have a chance to win this book today is subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, like this video, and of course, comment below letting me know that you are subscribed to Journals, Comics, and Pop Culture. Now, if you want a second entry into the contest for a chance to win, stay towards the end of the video because I am going to be asking an awesome trivia question. Leave the answer in the comments as well, and you will get that second entry. All right, folks, let's get into it. We're going to be starting off with book number 25 on the list, Future State Wonder Woman #1. This is the first full appearance of YARA FLOR. We're going to be looking at CGC fair market value from current to 3 years ago, and we're going to be looking at plus or minus on the market, and then we're going to be looking at an average raw. And that average raw is where we're going to be looking at that 25 or under mark for these books. So let's look at the numbers here. For a current CGC 9.8, $90. Now, we're going to look at the peak for this book, and that was obviously last year when it came out in 2021, and it was sitting at $156. Well, Chris, that means that this book has gone down in value. That's right. This book has dropped 42% for that fair market value. I will say, folks, this is the first book I do believe that I've put on any of these lists that I've done that has actually dropped in value. Look at this average raw, though. $17. Of course, it's still under that $25 mark. Now, you may ask, why do I have this book on the list? Look, what's the saying in any type of investment market? Buy the dips. I am not here to tell you guys what to buy. I say this in every video that I do like this. I'm not here to tell you what to buy or tell you what to invest in. I'm here to give you my opinion on things, to drop some data and some facts, and you all have to make your own sound decisions. You have to accept the risk involved as well. But for this one, I do think this is a decent time to invest in this book, especially since you could probably still find a raw copy for under, not only under 25, but under that $20 mark. This book, I do believe, is going to be a solid long-term investment because I believe in this character. Now, her solo series was canceled, and you know, maybe people are thinking that, you know, she's gonna go away, she's done, this is it. I don't think so. This is a very, even though she takes the Wonder Woman or the Wonder Girl title or mantle, she is a very unique character that I do believe is going to be around for a while, similar to how Nubia has been kind of in the shadows of Wonder Woman as well. So again, I'm not saying that this book is going to be worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars in the future, but I do see potential long-term growth. All right, next up, coming in at number 24, we have New Teen Titans number 35. This is the first cameo of Vigilante in costume. Who watched the Peacemaker show? I thoroughly enjoyed it. James Gunn doing amazing things again. Vigilante was a solid character in that show. Now, look, there's no data here for any graded books because I think this is kind of a slept-on minor key. But look, it's got potential. And look at this, folks, an average raw. And again, average raw doesn't pertain to grade. You take in all the raw sales, take up the total amount sold, divide it by the units. That's how you get your price. $6 though. This book is very affordable, very low risk, and I think Vigilante isn't done in the DCEU world, however we want to categorize the DCEU now. But I think we're going to see the character again, and I think he's going to be a fan favorite, and that could definitely pull eyes to this book. But look, again, this is a book, $6. $6, solid. Moving on to number 23, we have Marvel 2-in-1 number 53, the second appearance and origin of QUASAR. Okay, QUASAR is a character that I've been talking about for a couple, 2 or 3 years now, because I believe it is inevitable that QUASAR is going to show up in the MCU probably sooner than later. And if we're not going after his first appearance, which has definitely been climbing, you know, he's got the first appearance of as Marvel Boy / Marvel Man, and then his first appearance in Hulk 234 as QUASAR. But this is another one that is more affordable. So if we look at these sales, not a lot of graded books being sold for this one. We don't have any recent sales, but we did have one sell in 2019 for $72. So of course, no, you know, plus or minus, but that average raw, again, this is a 35-cent Bronze Age book, so you're probably looking at some type of mid-grade. $8, still a very, very affordable book. And again, I do believe that if or when we get an announcement of Wendell Vaughn or QUASAR showing up in the MCU, a casting, anything like that, especially the way the market's been right now to how we are responding to these castings and these trailers, I think it's going to go bananas. But then again, be careful. That's why I like to look at books before we get any of those things. You got to look ahead. I always say, though, with these Marvel Bronze Age books, they are long-term investments, even though they might have some ebb and flow because of the crazy reactions that we're having these days with movie announcements and whatnot. If you get them ahead of the curve, these can still be solid investments for that long term. Before we get into our next book, I got to remind everyone that if you are in need of comic book supplies, please check out bcwsupplies.com. You can use the discount code JOURNOS to receive 10% off of your order. The link is below. You can use this code as many times as you want as well. It never expires, so go ahead and save yourself some money whenever you need to order some comic book supplies for your comic books. All right, but next up, we got book number 22. This is World's Finest 252. This is the origin of Poison Ivy. So if you can't afford her first appearance, this is another awesome, affordable little book. No CGCs on the census. Again, I said there was going to be a few of those like this on this list, but look at this. Average raw sitting at $10. So again, another affordable book. And I don't expect these books to become super duper valuable books. That's not why we're here. These are just affordable books that have some key elements that we can actually enjoy because they mean something to these characters, which can mean something to us as collectors without having to break our bank, right? Who would like to see a rendition of Poison Ivy in the new Matt Reeves Batman universe? Hands up over here, that's for sure. Next up, folks, coming in at 21, some more DC action. We got Brave and the Bold, number 182. This is the first appearance of Golden Age Batwoman in modern comics. Now, there's some examples of these things happening where they're solid keys. Like the first time we see Two-Face, you know, in modern comics. And we say modern where we don't mean the era, but outside of the Golden Age pretty much. And we know that first modern appearance of Two-Face is a really sought after book. But this one, again, another really affordable one. I think these are more fun. You know, this isn't like movie spec or anything like that because books don't have to be key or books don't have to, you know, have long-term investment value just because it has to do with live action movies or TV. No, these are fun because I think these Golden Age characters are obviously going to always be sought after. And if we could find their first appearances in the more modern renditions of these comics, I think later down the line, later years down the line, we're going to look at these things and say, that's pretty cool. And there is going to be more collectability there. So again, we had a sale 3 years ago and a 9.6 for only $55, but average raw going for $88. All right, folks, we are halfway through today's 10. Coming in next at number 20, I absolutely love this one. Marvel's Greatest Comics number 39. This is the first reprinting of Fantastic Four 52, which is, of course, the first appearance of Black Panther. Now, I've talked a lot about these first reprints. You have reprints going back, like the early Marvel Tales, and all these early printings of these Silver Age books. And the reprintings are happening still sometimes in the later Silver Age or in the Bronze Age. I do believe there is going to be a growing market for these books in the future, especially as these key books, the books that they're reprinting, are becoming more and more valuable. The dollar amount of those books continues to increase, and more average everyday collectors can't obtain these high sticker amounts. So this is another solid one. Now check this out here again. Another one that nobody's really looking at sending these books in to get graded yet. There's no sales on the market over the last few years. And then if we look at an average raw, $18, again, 20-cent book. So definitely somewhere in the mid-grade range for that price, maybe even slightly lower mid-grade. But I definitely think that this is going to be solid, along with many others in the same, area of reprints. Now, I remember when the Black Panther movie came out and FF52 started to really shoot up, or I think it actually was after Civil War came out and we saw Chadwick for the first time. And I went after and bought this book because I was like, this is the closest I'm gonna get. I don't know. One day I do hope to own Fantastic Four 52, even if it's in a low grade 1.8, 2.0. I don't care. All right, everyone, we're gonna move on to number 19 on the list. This is Fantastic Four number 205. This is the first full appearance of the Nova Corps. And we already saw the Nova Corps in the MCU, but I think they're going to come more to the forefront in the near future. I think it's going to have to do with a couple of things. One, obviously, the new Guardians film. I think that's going to showcase them. But we might even see them in Thor Love and Thunder to some extent. And even with what's going on with the Marvels and Captain Marvel and whatnot, we're going more cosmic. The MCU is going more cosmic. I think the Nova Corps is going to have a bigger role in the MCU over the next, 5, 6, 7+ years or so. So again, no recent 9.8 sales on the market, but we do have a sale from 3 years ago, or a rough estimated fair market value from 3 years ago, sitting at $153. So again, no 3-year plus or minus. And then we got an average raw sitting at $16. So again, these are all affordable books, guys. 35-cent Bronze Age book. Again, probably a nice mid-grade for around that $16 price. All right, everyone, we are down to the last 3 on the list today. But before we get into the last 3 books, I'm going to take less than 60 seconds to talk about today's sponsor, PopCultureZone.com. PopCultureZone.com is an online shop focusing on hot new comics, including exclusive and incentive variants, CGC graded comics, and tons of other inventory, including pop culture toys and other collectibles, all at low and competitive prices. PopCultureZone.com ships all over the US, and if you are buying raw comics, they offer flat rate shipping of only $4.99. That's right, $4.99. Absolute craziness, right? And there's no taxes included, excluding New Jersey. Pop Culture Zone is also on eBay, where they hold a 100% positive feedback rating with over 8,000 completed transactions for this year alone. Make sure to check out the link to their website below, as well as their eBay link, so be sure to give them a follow there as well. All right, big shout out to PopCultureZone.com. And with that being said, we got 3 left. Coming in at number 18, Thor 411. This is the first cameo appearance of the New Warriors. Now, here's an interesting thing, folks. I was battling between this book or issue 412, which is their first full appearance, and it's also their first cover appearance. And yet I chose this one, and it's funny because this one is actually trending at a higher dollar amount, at a higher fair market value than 412, which is like an anomaly because when you consider a first full appearance of a team next and a book that has them on the cover for the first time, though that's usually grounds for really stumping the cameo. But hey, look, I mean, this is an awesome juggernaut cover right here, but it is what it is. Both of them are very similar in value, so really I could have put both on the list. But let's look at this. Current CGC 9.8 fair market value, $225, next to 3 years ago, sitting at $182. This is the first book where we're actually having a 3-year plus minus. And that is a 24% increase in value over these last 3 years. Now, again, I'm not saying that there's any MCU spec on this, but what have I said with Marvel right now? Go find out first appearances of characters that nobody's talking about, that nobody's saying, oh, they're going to show up in the MCU, and go buy them right now. Again, I'm not telling you to go do that, but if you're looking to spec, I mean, there's a large chance that I don't know about 90%, but a large percentage of all these characters that are just sitting out there are going to show up in the MCU at some point. You know, you got Namorita with, some Mariner, there's big talks that some Mariner's going to show up. Night Thrasher, a fan favorite of mine. I mean, they can really pull out some of these 90s characters. There's definitely a lot there that they could play with in years to come in the MCU. But I just think the original New Warriors team was a really awesome team they're becoming vintage now, now that we're 30 plus years away from their creation. And I definitely think there's value and growth there in the long term. Again, outside of MCU specs. So average raw sitting at $22 under that $25 mark. I think that's absolutely solid. All right, coming in at number 17, some more DC. Lots of DC love on this first video out of the 4-part series here. We got Green Lantern number 48. This is the first appearance of Kyle Rayner. Current CGC 9.8 fair market value, $151. Next to 3 years ago, $92. Now, the last time I checked, this character was not confirmed to show up in the Green Lantern show. But if you look at this book increasing over the last 3 years, 64% in value. That's solid. And you can still find an average raw for around $21. That's solid. This character definitely has potential to show up in the Green Lantern HBO Max show. I don't see why he wouldn't. I've said a lot in the past about DC books. Similar to what I was just saying about Marvel, about characters that nobody's talking about. Nobody is talking about DC characters because they fall under the shadow of the MCU and the MCU success. But I do believe that the DC, well, I don't even know if we're going to call it the DCEU, but I think DC is really trying to shake things up and start building a strong foundation. We've seen it with bringing James Gunn in for the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. They had something good there with Wonder Woman. Second film fell kind of flat, but there's still something there. And then the latest, the Batman, just an overall solid film. They're doing all these things with bringing Keaton back for the Flash film. We're going to see how that goes. I'm very enthusiastic and hopeful about the Rock's portrayal in film with the Black Adam. So fingers crossed, they start building this foundation. You finally start getting eyes back onto more of these DC first appearance books and these key books and even minor keys like this. So, hey, you never know where it can go. All right, we got one more book to talk about today, folks, and that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Number 7. This is the origin of the Turtles, folks. Let's look at these numbers. Current CGC 9.8 fair market value sitting at about $210. 3 years ago, sitting at about $123. That is a 3-year increase of 71%, with an average raw sitting at about $14 still. We know that their first appearance, even in the later prints, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th printings, are all solid money books. So if you want a fun one that flies under the radar and you could get for under that $25 mark, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 7. Origins. I'm telling you, Origins are becoming more and more sought after as of late too. As a big Ninja Turtle fan, I don't own this book. I actually own the second print, which is even more valuable, and I couldn't put it on this list, but that's for another video. All right, folks, that is all the books today. Now, we do have a trivia question, so make sure you hang around for that trivia question. But before I ask that question, I have to give a huge thank you and shout out to all of my Patreon members. Thank you so much for another month of your continued support. If anyone is interested in becoming a Patreon, it's only $3.99 a month for extra perks and Patreon exclusives. Thank you all so very much. And I also have to thank all of my YouTube channel members for another month of support as well. And if you guys are interested in joining via YouTube membership, that's only $1.99 a month. You can click the join button below. You get extra perks and early access as well. And I do give out random giveaways for all of my members on both platforms. All right, folks, we are giving away that beautiful EGS 9.4 Warlock in the Infinity Watch, #1, one of my favorite books of all time. So, of course, my question today has to be a Warlock question. Are we ready? Now, Adam Warlock has a lot of history. There's a lot of key books, a lot of different origins and first appearances of different incarnations of this character. So, my question today is a two-parter. What is officially the first full appearance of Adam Warlock in physical form? And what is the first official appearance of Adam Warlock when he takes the mantle, Adam Warlock? All right, that's the trivia question for today, folks. Good luck to you all. Thank you all again so much for the support. Big congrats to Longshanks for the win of the last prize as well. And thank you all for watching today. Leave those comments below. Be well, and until next time.